I'd like to demonstrate how to facilitate a discussion with a quote or scripture verse using the Zoom annotation tools. Before you do your Zoom meeting, you'll want to prepare your quote or your scripture block ahead of time. You can use a Word doc, a PowerPoint slide, or a Google Doc. I'm going to use a Google Doc for our demonstration. Make sure that once you've copied and pasted your quote or scriptures into your document, that you format it so it will fill the screen. That way, when you're sharing it, it will be easily read, and the students will be able to mark it easily with the annotation tools. So now that I've got my document ready, then I can go to my Zoom meeting or my class. When I'm in the class, I share my screen. All right, now, one of the things that I could do with this, after we've had someone in the class read it aloud, I could tell them, now what I'd like you to do is choose a word that's unfamiliar to you, one that you're not sure what the definition is, and I'd like you to use the annotation tool to either circle or underline the word that you don't understand. So go ahead and do that now. Okay, now once you've had enough time for your class to respond and to underline or circle different words, then you can ask them to look up the definition of those words and see how their understanding of the scripture changes after looking up the definition of that word. So give them a minute to look up a definition. Once they've had a chance to look up the definition, then you would just call on someone. You say, okay, it looks like somebody circled the word encircle. So who did that? And then call on that student to define the word and tell how their understanding of the scripture changed based on what they learned about the definition. And then let that student call on the next student so they can say, oh, well, I see somebody circled the word redeem. Who did that? And then they could call on that student to share. So the students get a little bit of a bonus for sharing because then they get to call on someone else. If you want everyone to have an opportunity to share, but you have a big class, you could send them to breakout rooms and let each person take a turn sharing what word they looked up. Or you could just let a couple of students respond and then you move on with the rest of your lesson. So this type of activity can be really short, or it can set you up for a longer group activity. Another thing you might do is say, choose one phrase that you would like to put in modern language, in 2020 language. So there's a lot of different things you can do with the quotes or the scriptures, but have them look for something specific, have them mark it with the annotation tool. Then you call on someone, and you can call on as many as you like, or you can have them call on each other. If for some reason someone's not able to get the annotation tools to work, they could type their word or phrase in the chat bar, and then you can just monitor the chat and call on them as well from the chat. And this type of activity helps to get the students thinking about the meaning of the quotes and the scriptures. Instead of just reading them out loud and passing right over the top of it, they actually start thinking more deeply about it.